Okay, so how are you going to pick your colors? Well, I'm going to show you an easy way to do that. So I decided when I was working, with this that I liked these colors. I thought they were very pop arty. Actually, I want to change that back to that bright. There we go. I like that. That is pop art. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I was coloring this version of my cat. So I'm going to come down here to my foreground color. I'm going to double click on it, and it's going to pull up the picker. And you're going to see down here that after a whole bunch of numbers that describe that color, hue, saturation, brightness, how much red, how much green, how much blue. Those are the lab numbers. I forget exactly what those stand for. The CMYK numbers, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. I have this number down here, and this is an original alphanumeric name for every color. So if I copy that, and then I go to this website, and this is called colors.muz.li. There are a whole bunch of them out there, but I like this one because I can put in the name of the color, and you can already see it right there, right? So there's the color, and it's showing me a little swatch, and then I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to give me different color schemes that work with that color. And I like this complementary one. And then I can see the numbers of each color, and I can use those in my work. Now, if you want to expand your color palette to more, there's some other related palettes. You can pull these colors out too. So there's more colors in here that you can work with. Okay, and that allows you to have a color harmony. There are a ton of websites out there. Another one is Coolers. And it will generate one. And then if you hit the key bar, it will generate another and generate, and then you can lock colors. I'm not quite sure how this one works with adding. And so there's a ton of them, and I can't spell when I'm on camera apparently. So you can see there's a ton of them out here. Even Adobe has one. I don't want the tour. And I haven't used this one before, but you can see that it has a lot of different color schemes that you can pick from. You can, for this, you can just sort of move them around the color wheel. You can move them outside, and it will generate a color scheme for you. That's very pop arty. And look, lo and behold, I swear, I just picked those colors. And what that shows you is, for me to have just randomly picked those colors, shows you what happens after decades and decades and decades and ancient of practice, that your brain just sort of automatically knows what works. And so those are my colors mostly, right? So I can say, hey, those additional colors would work for my color palette. So there's all sorts of ways to do that. So once you get those numbers, by the way, then you can just come back in. Let's see. All right, so say I want to use this color next. I get the number down here. Oops, you don't want the, there we go. I'm going to copy that. Go back into Photoshop. I'm going to paste it down here, and it will bring up that color for me. And then I can use that on my, condense this down a little bit. There we go. And I can use that on my next version over here. Make sure I'm on that. Yep. And then I can use that color. then I use that vivid light. Oh yeah, I like that. And then I think that used it up to something like that. There we go. Right, to get my... Okay, and then I'll make my brush a little smaller. Whoops. I did not mean to go over her nose. So I'm just going to go back to the eraser. And whoops. And just erase out her nose. And then go back to my brush. There we go. Clean that up. Okay. And so you can see there you go. And you can see that's pop art. That is the color scheme works. Let's go get one more color off of this. Into my Coloro. Let's get that color. Command C. Double click and paste. And there's that color. So I'm on this layer and I already know I want that vivid light. And paintbrush and okay. And that's how it goes. And the colors work, they're pop arty colors. And I would keep going. Okay. So I'm going to show you what my next step will be. What could be your next step? I got time on this video. Sorry, I just wanted to clean it up before I did it. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to color this whole thing in the style that I think that would work for Andy Warhol. Now, let me show you one other thing I like to do. I've just gone to one of my black and white images. And what I'm going to do is layer, duplicate layer, and I'm going to call this upper left edges. You'll see one in a second. Okay, so I have this one, and I'm going to move it up above here, and I'm going to go filter and stylize, find edges. See how it created those really cool edges? And then I'm going to, I think I like that one, multiply maybe. But then you can play around with that to create lines. You know, it's kind of cool. I just like to go through them, see what they do. I mean, I can tell you in theory what they do, but I find that scrolling through them sometimes, ooh, that's weird. I think I like multiply. But I'm going to dial it down a little bit. Okay, and then I can now, because this is the same as the other four, and then obviously I would need to rename it. Now, while it may seem like a lot of work and a pain to do this, as you start working with gazillions of layers, you're going to be very happy that you did this, because it takes less time to set this up than it does to try to, while you're working, start clicking on layers and trying to find things. And especially when you start stacking a whole bunch of layers, it becomes harder and harder to find them. So duplicate layer, And this is going to be lower left edges. Whoops, I ended up with, I don't know what happened to my, it disappeared. Oh, nope, that's interesting. I was too busy talking and I didn't see what I did with it. Remember that you can click on these to turn off a layer so you can see. There it is. It ended up on the bottom. Upper right edges, upper left edges. Okay, that goes there. And then upper right edges. Oh, there it is. I'll drag that over there. There we go. So I got my different layers. Okay, and then I can just go one more. And layer, duplicate layer, drag that over. And rename it, because I didn't do it when I did it. Okay, so now here's the thing. I got those aligned perfectly, but with Andy Warhol, he usually was like off a little bit. So what I want to do is just maybe move those. Okay, either not with my cursor. I can use the up and down arrows on my keyboard to just nudge those offset a little bit, just like Andy did. And so I counted 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And on each one, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, sometimes, and that looks more like a, Andy Warhol pop art. Sometimes I'm going to click on this upper one in the upper left hand here. Image, adjustments, invert. And you can use white lines instead of black lines. Okay, I don't like that. I'm going to undo it. I'm going to leave it like that. And so I would keep going, right? So I would go back to my color layer and I would continue my painting until everything is painted. With this, you want to be careful because you don't want everything to be bright saturated. In this case, my cat is my focal point, so that is my brightest saturation. What I'm going to do from there is I'm going to go back, right? So I'm going to pick this color. Let's go to that layer, turn off the one above it, so make sure I color picker, eyedropper tool. Okay, so if you ever want to know what a color is and you don't know, if you go to your eyedropper tool and pick on that color, it will give it to you right here. So now I can copy this one and I can go over to my color type that in and come up with maybe that color scheme. They don't make it easy to just copy it from there. I think I have to click on the, there we go. Click on it and then you can copy the color number. And then take it back with you to Photoshop. Okay, so I'm going to the paintbrush and I'm going to paste that in there. And then I have my next color that I'm going to paint with on my, I'm not sure what we want to paint with that, maybe eyeshadow. Let's stop this one here because we're almost at 15 minutes and we'll continue in the next video.